Sophie Raworth at Downing Street.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision.
Less than 2 years after winning a landslide general election, Sir Keir Starmer resigns. He is the 6th Prime Minister to leave number 10 in less than 10 years. His speech this morning was at times highly emotional.
When I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad.
Andy Burnham, member for Makerfield.
Is this the man who will soon replace him? Andy Burnham is sworn in at Westminster as the other main leadership contender, Wes Streeting, bows out. And just look at the reaction from Labour MPs who gathered there to greet him. We've travelled from Andy Burnham's new constituency to Sir Keir Starmer's here in London, finding out from people along the way what they think of these extraordinary events today.
I think it's the right thing, isn't it?
We're just going round and round and round. The country's just going down and down and down.
I'm really tired of the way that as soon as things start to go wrong, blame the leader, get rid of the leader, put in a new leader.
Also tonight, a rare red weather warning for much of England and Wales as temperatures look set to hit almost 40 degrees Celsius this week. Good evening from Downing Street and welcome to a BBC News special. The Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has resigned as the leader of the Labour Party after months of mounting pressure. Less than 2 years after he stood right here following an extraordinary victory in the 2024 general election, Sir Keir said he accepted with good grace that the Labour Party has decided he is not the person to lead them into the next election. He was close to tears at times as he promised to stay in office until his successor is chosen. And already it looks like Andy Burnham, elected just days ago as the new Labour MP for Makerfield and Greater Manchester, may well be that man, and it could happen quickly. Our political editor, Chris Mason, has been watching the extraordinary events unfold today.
Politics, so often noisy, has its moments where its leading figures have to make a silent, lonely decision. That the fate of the Prime Minister over the weekend. As he woke this morning, Westminster, the country, awaited a statement. Shortly after 9 o'clock, it was clear the moment was imminent. And then Sir Keir and his wife Victoria appeared. His staff in the street applauding. This is opening reflection.
Thank you. Walking up this street 2 years ago was the proudest moment of my life. A new Labour government, the first in 14 years. A page in our country's history turned after years of disappointment and despair. The chance to change the lives of millions of people for the better. That's what I came into politics for.
In nearby Whitehall, protesters played the Ode to Joy as the Prime Minister set out what he'd been proud of in office.
And look at what we've achieved in just 2 years. An economy that is stronger, growing faster than our peers. Wages rising faster than inflation in every single month since we came to power. Investment secured, infrastructure being built. An end to austerity, with the fastest fall in NHS waiting lists for 17 years.
Next, he acknowledged head-on the brutal political truth that led to this moment.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision.
And as he concluded a personal reflection, the emotion obvious.
And when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, who has been a rock by my side through good times and bad, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.
Keir Starmer is vice-breaking the fourth Prime Minister in 4 years, and now he is going through this extraordinary period of turbulence in British politics continues. In the minutes that followed, his cabinet colleagues came out to pay tribute.
Look, I've known Keir Starmer for many, many years. First as a lawyer before he was a politician. He is a good man, principled, decent, and I think we've seen in his resignation this morning the character of the man putting the country first.
The Attorney General, a friend of the Prime Minister for decades, came to talk to us too. Do we ever get beyond the short-termism that seems to grip politics? Perhaps journalists are to blame, perhaps society's to blame, perhaps political parties to blame.
Yeah, look, Chris, I think that's a really profound point, and it's one we can't let go of and need to ask ourselves repeatedly. We are facing in the world at the moment huge challenges. We've got huge domestic challenges at the moment, but yet the focus, if you look at the media for the last, I'm not blaming the media, but if you look at what the focus has been for the last 2 months, it's about palace intrigue. Who's up, who's down, who's in the room, who's not in the room.
Politics, it's a brutal old business.
Yeah, look, it is brutal, but it's also incredibly important. So if there's a young person watching this now who wants to try and change the world for the better, don't be put off by this. Come in and you can make a difference and help change the world.
Meanwhile, 200 miles away in Manchester, he was the mayor, now he's an MP. He's likely to be Prime Minister before long.
Andy, quick word for BBC News. How are you feeling today? All right?
Absolutely honoured to be sworn in as the mayor. The mayor, I said that. The new MP for Makerfield, and that's my focus today.
On the train, he posted a tribute to Keir Starmer on social media and was explicit about his own ambitions. We grabbed a word a few hours later when he made it to London Euston.
You're live on BBC News. What's your reaction to the Prime Minister's resignation?
I made my statement, obviously, praising the Prime Minister's dedication, service, and confirm that I will put myself forward in the process that will soon be underway.
But one step at a time.
We now come to Andy Burnham, member for Makerfield.
Being sworn in as an MP came next, and he'd found a suit. And listen to the heckle. He's not the Messiah, someone shouts. Just another, Mr. Burnham replies. But perhaps the biggest moment today after Keir Starmer's announcement was Wes Streeting backing Mr. Burnham. Hello, afternoon, Mr. Streeting. I had you down as an ambitious sort, but you're packing it in. Is Andy Burnham an unstoppable force?
Look, I think Keir Starmer leading us to a general election victory that no one thought possible will go down in the history books as the man who saved the Labour Party. Andy Burnham, with his campaign in Makerfield, won back a part of the country that only weeks ago had overwhelmingly rejected Labour, which shows that if Labour changes, we can still win. I think Andy is the person to lead us to do that.
Labour's political opponents, like the rest of us today, observers to the party's changing of the guard.
What is important is that we get someone in who understands what governing is about. I'm not interested in providing a commentary on Labour Party internal matters. What I am interested in is making sure that urgent things, like looking after our national security, are dealt with right now.
I think people are pretty fed up with the merry-go-round of Prime Ministers, 7 Prime Ministers in 10 years, 5 Conservative, 2 Labour. Nothing seems to change. So just changing the person at the top won't deliver the change that people need. We need to change our broken political system.
Whoever becomes the Prime Minister will not have been voted for by the British public. And if the next Prime Minister is the new MP for Makerfield, Andy Burnham, he didn't even stand at the last election on any manifesto at all. And I really do think that my call for there to be a general election as soon as is possible, I think you'll find a lot of support for that.
Tonight, it is these images that tell you rather a lot about what politics will likely look like soon. Labour MPs gravitating to where they think power appears to be rapidly heading. Chris Wason, BBC News, at Westminster.
Well, Andy Burnham was only elected as an MP last week in the Makerfield constituency in Greater Manchester, a former Labour heartland which has seen a surge in support for reform in recent local elections. Our UK editor, Ed Thomas, has travelled from Hindley railway station in Andy Burnham's new constituency down to London Euston, which is in the heart of Sir Keir Starmer's constituency, and he stopped off in towns and cities along the way to find out what people think about today's events and what they want for the future.
Here we go again. I think we've got 5 minutes until the train comes. From Makerfield to Westminster.
Why are you making the journey today?
Andy Burnham's first day, and rumours.
Rumours that Keir Starmer may be resigning.
The day begins with questions to answer.
I don't think he's a quitter, but watch this space, maybe, yeah?
But these are Andy Burnham's people.
He's honest. He's one of us.
And they sent him and a message to Parliament.
What made you go for Andy Burnham?
I felt that he's honest and I felt comfortable that what he says he's going to do, he's going to do.
Honest?
Yeah.
Were you also voting for him to be a Prime Minister?
Yeah, I was thinking there was a chance that he could be Prime Minister.
First stop, Wigan, and breaking news. It's official. Keir Starmer's resigning.
This will ensure a new leader is in place.
Good riddance.
Why is that?
It's just been a waste of time. He's not done anything for the country, has he?
And it sounds like Sir Keir Starmer will leave Downing Street.
Resigning.
Resigning. I think it's the right thing, isn't it? Personally, I would have voted reform, but good luck to Andy Burnham. I think he'll do a better job than Keir Starmer back.
No, just resigned. Happy days. That's it.
Then from Wigan on to Crewe, and more cautious voices.
They've got to do whatever's best for the country.
But do you think this is best for the country?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first.
Yeah, I think politics is too negative at the moment. Whoever gets in even after won't be able to change nothing because we're too far in trouble. I think we can change things, but we should be a bit more positive.
Then off to Staffordshire, where the Brexit vote was strong, and now a power base for reform. This is Newcastle under Lyme, and in the local elections, Reform UK took control here. For many here, faith in Labour is in short supply.
Keir Starmer's resigned. What's your reaction?
Absolutely brilliant.
Who was that? What did you say?
They don't see a future, especially the way things are going.
Mate, I'm so glad he's resigned, if I'm quite honest. It's one of the best things I think the country's done in the last 2 years.
This is Emily and Liam, a working family struggling to get by who now want to leave the country. Do you have any faith left in the Labour Party?
Oh, not at all, no. No Labour, no Conservative.
Is this country working for you right now?
No. And as soon as my older son's finished school, we're looking at moving out of the country.
There's no future. I can't ever own my own home. You know, it's struggling enough now just to get my own car and driving licence and run that. Let alone, you know, have it heating on it because I want a bath every night of the week. I can't even do that now.
Can the Labour Party with a new leader tempt you back?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Done. It's done.
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. This is your conductor.
They're back on board and into Middle England. Next stop, Rugby, a Conservative battleground that voted Labour in 2024. Meet 3 generations of the Openshaw family, at a loss at watching our politics unravel again.
Oh, you tell me the last Prime Minister that actually did something for this country. They're in, they don't have time to change anything, they're out, you know, the next one comes in, oh, he's going to change everything, everybody's going to change that, and we're just going round and round and round. The country's just going down and down and down.
You voted Conservative.
All my life.
Will this new change of the Labour Party tempt you to that?
No, I don't think so.
So time for a general election.
Yeah, and stop all this madness that's going on in this country.
7th Prime Minister, though, in 10 years.
It's ridiculous.
This train will call at London Euston.
But this is the track the country is on. A democracy shaped by constant change and shifting political loyalties. So far we've heard about faith in Andy Burnham, we've heard celebration at the Prime Minister's exit, but we've also heard real worries and fear about what happens next and where the UK is headed.
Welcome to London Euston.
And this is the end of the line for the Prime Minister. Euston Station, right in the middle of Keir Starmer's constituency. You voted for Sir Keir Starmer.
Yes. They're changing every time. Different Prime Minister destroying the UK.
Destroying the UK?
Yes.
Because we're all here depending on you while you're squabbling amongst yourselves. I always vote Labour, and I'm really tired of the way that as soon as things start to go wrong, blame the leader, get rid of the leader, put in a new leader. We're supposed to be a party, you know, it's not, the blame culture has to stop.
One journey is over. The road to 10 Downing Street is just beginning again. Ed Thomas, BBC News.
Lots of different views there from voters along the way. What about the political leaders in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland? What do they think of today's events? Let's hear from them now.
It was crystal clear that he was losing the confidence of his party, having lost the confidence of the country. And I think it demonstrates, as we go through another change of Prime Minister in the United Kingdom, after so many changes in the last 10 years, that the Westminster system is just not working.
Looking ahead, it is vital that whoever succeeds Keir Starmer in number 10 Downing Street recognises that Wales needs a stronger, more respectful relationship with Westminster, one built on partnership.
Keir Starmer's departure from Westminster really underlines for all of us the chaos of Westminster. The chaos that has been, I suppose, the dominant feature of the last 10 years. Tomorrow will be 10 years anniversary since Brexit, and what we saw throughout the course of that time has been a revolving door of British Prime Ministers.
Aside from the politics, I think it is right to recognise that he has served our country over the last 2 years, and this has been a difficult decision for him. From a political perspective, you will know that I don't agree with what the Labour government has done over the last number of years, that they do not have a recipe for success.
So why did it go so wrong so quickly for Sir Keir Starmer? He stood here less than 2 years ago on the 5th of July promising huge change and an end to the chaos. But here we are less than 2 years later and there's yet more turbulence. Our correspondent Joe Pike reports on Sir Keir Starmer's high hopes as Prime Minister and what turned out to be the reality.
The man who rose to power after transforming his party in a single term has now been brought down by the MPs he helped elect less than 2 years ago. So how did it go so wrong so fast? Keir Starmer's premiership started with a stunning electoral success.
Our work is urgent, and we begin it today.
But it's been on the slide ever since, and will ultimately be remembered as one of plummeting popularity, wasted opportunities, and early errors. Within weeks of Labour's 2024 landslide, the PM and Chancellor announced one of their most unpopular policies, cuts to winter fuel payments for pensioners. They reversed on that almost a year later. And there were other major policy U-turns on inheritance tax for farmers, welfare cuts, and an inquiry into grooming gangs. The PM got embroiled in an early scandal over freebies after receiving suits and glasses from Labour lord and millionaire Wahid Ali. But it was Sir Keir's decision to appoint Peter Mandelson as the UK's ambassador in Washington that perhaps damaged him the most. The PM knew when he gave him the job that Mandelson had had a friendship with the paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And again with senior staff he appointed but soon regretted. Sue Gray lasted just 3 months as Starmer's chief of staff. Sir Keir only became an MP here when he was in his 50s. To some, that lack of politics was a selling point, but to others it meant he didn't possess the instincts, the judgment or the skills of public communication and private persuasion that are essential for high office.
The real sadness for many people who know him very well is this is a fundamentally decent man. Someone actually much more in touch with ordinary British people than most politicians I've ever met. He actually likes them. He never wanted to contaminate what was most authentic about him with this horrible world of politics. So instead of that, all you saw was this buttoned up, tightly bound, occluded self, and people thought, well, he's not real.
Among his domestic legacy is the scrapping of the 2-child benefit cap, a new law to strengthen workers' rights, and the upcoming social media ban for under-16s.
So can I present the letter from the...
But it was foreign policy where the PM had more success. Dubbed Never Hear Keir for his frequent trips abroad, his initial handling of Donald Trump...
this is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit.
Resulted in a better trading relationship than many other countries. He attempted to keep the US committed to Ukraine, diverged from Washington in recognising a Palestinian state, and more recently disagreements over Iran have fractured that friendship.
You know, unfortunately, Keir is not Winston Churchill.
Sir Keir Starmer achieved something remarkable in turning round his party's fortunes fast. But he failed to do the same with his country, and the speed of that failure has been remarkable too. Joe Pike, BBC News, Westminster.
And you can watch the story of Sir Keir Starmer's time as Prime Minister on the BBC iPlayer now. You can go there for Starmer. What went wrong? Well, I'm joined now by Chris Mason, our political editor, and our deputy economics editor, Darshini David. Darshini, first to you. I mean, the economic challenges facing whoever walks through that door next.
Well, it's not just that door, it's the door next door, isn't it? Number 11. Because when we look at the reason why we've had, 7 prime ministers in a decade, even more chancellors, the reason, I'm afraid to say, Chris, is as much economic as it is political, because we haven't been getting better off that quickly since the financial crisis in 2008 as we were before. So growth, unemployment, welfare spending, defence, all of those things are going to remain priorities. But when you look at that and you look at what Andy Burnham suggested, for example, more state control of utilities, it hints at a bigger and more costly state. And those ambitions are likely to run up against financial reality because the public finances are pretty fragile. He has suggested that he would stick to the existing rules on borrowing, of course, as well. So while he said previously he wouldn't be in hock to the bond markets, the government's lenders, whoever is in number 11 is going to have to keep them on side, and us too, even though they're looking to raise more money. So plenty of people vying for that job, currently held by Rachel Reeves, but quite frankly, it's not one that many would envy.
And Chris, striking today that this morning, when the Prime Minister was making his resignation speech, there were lots of staff out here. David Lammy, the Deputy Prime Minister, was there, but Rachel Reeves was not outside number 11. She was, though, seen welcoming Andy Burnham in the Commons.
Exactly that. And this is a postcode defined by power. Excuse my croaky voice. Lots of news and too much talking. Who holds power? Who aspires to hold power? And where people think power is shifting. And you can see that in that striking image of the day of MPs crowded around Andy Burnham. Yeah, there was Rachel Reeves. And the argument that her supporters make is, keep me as Chancellor. Because, they argue, she has managed to keep the markets on side. We saw the response of the markets on that day where deeply uncomfortable for her and anyone watching when she was upset in the House of Commons. And there was a reaction on the markets because the markets feared she was going to be replaced. The challenge for Mr Burnham is Rachel Reeves too associated with Keir Starmer and Keir Starmer's commitment to keep her in post? The other name amongst a number that is mentioned as a potential future Chancellor, Wes Streeting, the very man today who also backed Andy Burnham and did so explicitly.
And if Andy Burnham does indeed become the next person to walk through that number 10 door, what is Burnerism, whatever you call it, Burnhamism, I don't know. I mean, what does he stand for?
That's the key question tonight, and the key challenge that he faces in the next couple of weeks. How does he answer what he's all about, what he stands for, particularly in areas where, perfectly recently, as the Mayor of Greater Manchester, he wasn't drawn on very often, not least foreign affairs, given how prominent that is in the news agenda at the moment. And when I speak to Labour MPs privately, there is a concern from some that a lot of their colleagues, as one put it to me tonight, are jumping on a train that is leaving the station and they don't know where it's going. In other words, they don't know sufficiently about what Mr Burnham stands for. As an indicator of that, some Labour MPs tonight are entertaining the idea of backing Darren Jones, the Chief Secretary to the Prime Minister, to see if he might be tempted to challenge Andy Burnham in a leadership contest. Now, speaking to his friends, I suspect in the end he might not do that, but it gives you some indication of the concern there is about what Mr Burnham might stand for, and a real desire from Labour MPs that he gets on in the coming days with setting that out.
And just briefly, I mean, a really brutal day on a very personal, human level for the Prime Minister. You could see that in the way he spoke this morning.
Yeah, this is a postcode about power, but it's also about people. Human beings who feel the moment intensely. Politics so often is an expression of how we might be able to relate to our own personal, professional lives, but played out fully in public. And there was a man there acknowledging his professional failure, but in the company of, yes, his colleagues, but also his wife. And you heard that very human, emotional moment from a Prime Minister who's often been criticised for being insufficiently emotional. Boy, we heard it today.
Chris, Dashini, thank you both. Well, Downing Street has been packed with journalists from all around the world today. Why has there been so much turbulence in British politics in the last decade? And what does the rest of the world think about it as they watch on? Our diplomatic correspondent James Landell reports.
Breaking news from Britain this morning, Prime Minister Keir Starmer announces he's stepping down.
The resignation of yet another British Prime Minister did make the headlines overseas, at least on some news broadcasts. And a clutch of supportive allies voiced a few warm words on social media. The fourth time President Zelensky had to write such a tribute since Russia's full-scale invasion.
I love this country and I feel honoured to have served it.
That's because for 10 long years, number 10 has been a revolving door.
I will shortly leave the job that has been the honour of my life to hold.
6 prime ministers coming and going. Some staying a few years, others a matter of days. Ousted by the voters or their MPs, regardless of the size of their majority. It was not always thus. Margaret Thatcher spent more than a decade in office, as did Tony Blair. So why do today's prime ministers struggle to govern for so long?
This is a very bad moment for Britain to be having its 5th prime minister in 4 years, a rate of turnover never before seen in British history. It needs confidence, it needs trust, and this constant rate of churn creates the opposite of that.
Prime ministers, of course, are in power only if they command the confidence of the Commons, so MPs, unlike most countries, have the power to oust their leaders. And amid so much global turbulence, from the financial crash to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have MPs chosen leaders with the political skills to meet the moment?
The British people have spoken, and the answer is, we're out.
Perhaps the biggest challenge has been Brexit. Prime ministers struggled to make it happen, rebellious Tory MPs often challenging their leadership, a trait now copied on Labour benches. And is that culture of constant revolt fuelled by a media intoxicated by the psychodrama in an ever faster political cycle where long-term decisions are hard? Or is it perhaps more simple? Have successive prime ministers just failed to fix an economy trapped by low growth and high debt, leaving voters disappointed after being promised so much? So, a lot depends on the next PM staying the course, a model provided by Downing Street's longest resident. James Landell, BBC News.
Well, James Landell taking a look at how the rest of the world are seeing the extraordinary events as they have been unfolding here in Downing Street today. It is 9 o'clock. If you're just joining us, this is a BBC News special here on BBC One on the day that Sir Keir Starmer resigned. Here's what he had to say in Downing Street first thing this morning.
The question my party is asking now is whether I am best placed to lead us into the next general election. I have heard the answer of my parliamentary party to that question, and I accept that answer with good grace. Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party. I have spoken to His Majesty the King this morning to inform him of my decision.
Sir Keir Starmer first thing this morning, and just hours later, Andy Burnham, who was elected last week as the MP for Makerfield, arrived in Westminster and was sworn in as an MP. He gave this reaction to the Prime Minister's resignation.
I made my statements, obviously praising the Prime Minister's dedication, service, and confirm that I will put myself forward in the process that will soon be underway.
Andy Burnham arriving in London earlier. It certainly has been a very long day here in Downing Street. You can see Larry the cat is having a nap. It's been that long. An exhausted, long-time resident of this street who has seen many Prime Ministers come and go. Now, if you missed the events earlier on in the programme, you can watch the BBC special right now on the iPlayer if you want, and I will be back later on. But right now, let's join Lateef for the rest of the day's news.
Thank you, Sophie. That is, of course, our top story. But in other news, parts of southern Britain have been issued with a rare red heat warning for Wednesday and Thursday this week. Some schools have already announced closures or early finishes. The Met Office says this is where it will hit, with temperatures hitting almost 40 degrees Celsius in some places, a potentially record-breaking and dangerous heatwave that will cause significant disruption to daily life. Much of Europe is being affected by the latest heatwave. Half of France is under a red alert, with temperatures hitting 42 degrees in Bordeaux. In Spain, some areas are expected to rise to 44. Even San Sebastian in the north could reach 40 degrees, almost double its average for this time of the year. Here's our climate editor, Justin Rolax.
Get ready for a week of record-breaking heat. Red weather warnings are very rare. This is only the second time one has been issued for heat. It means even the fit and healthy are at risk. A number of schools across England have already announced plans to close later in the week. At this special needs school in Bedford, the pupils are already struggling to cope.
For some pupils, it might have an increase in epilepsy. We have some pupils who can't regulate the temperature. We have some pupils that might become more dysregulated.
And it's not just the young. Older people also find it hard to regulate their temperature.
They can become dehydrated very quickly. They can lose balance. They can be more confused, particularly with those people with dementia. So it's very important.
Much of Europe has been even hotter. 2 young children died in the south of France after becoming stuck in a car. In Strasbourg, temperatures could hit 36 degrees, threatening records just as final year secondary students are sitting their exams. Madrid is used to heat, but not like this. Temperatures have hit the low 40s and could reach 44 degrees, sending people into the shade and towards anything cold. In Austria, the heat is rising too. Some are playing through it, others are taking the obvious escape. So Elizabeth, you're working on today's weather forecast. Obvious question, why is it so hot?
Well, there's a lot of homegrown heat, and so the sun's at its strongest and the ground is very dry, so all of the sun's energy is being used to heat the ground, and then the ground heats the air. That's where we get the air temperature from. But there's also an area of high pressure just to the east of us, and that acts as a lid, so the heat's got nowhere to escape, and the heat is just building even further. And notice we've got a southeasterly wind. It's been very hot recently across Western Europe, so Western France and Spain. We've been smashing temperature records there, and we're drawing up that heat from the near continent too.
This looks set to be the second UK heatwave in as many months, and it comes after the 3 hottest years globally ever recorded. Don't think it's normal for temperature records to tumble like this, because it isn't. Our entire civilization rose up during a 12,000-year period of unusual climate stability that followed the end of the last ice age. And the fear is the warming we've seen in the last few decades is a sign that stability is beginning to break down. So don't imagine that this heat wave is just a couple of uncomfortable days. This heat wave is much more than that. At a media event today, the Met Office was exploring how our climate could shift.
We will need to consider ourselves as living in a hot country. We will need to look after water. We'll need to change many of the things we do to live in a new climate.
And here's the forecast for that new climate for 2056. Temperatures in England could peak at 45 degrees, 41 degrees in Wales, 38 degrees in Scotland, and 30 degrees in Northern Ireland. Remember, this isn't Asia or Africa, but the Met Office's best guess for the UK in just 30 years' time. Justin Rowlatt, BBC News.
One of Northern Ireland's best-known politicians, the former DUP leader, Sir Geoffrey Donaldson, has been found guilty of 18 historical sex offences against 2 women when they were children, including 1 count of rape against one of the women. The judge says he faces a lengthy prison sentence. His wife, Lady Eleanor Donaldson, has been found to have aided and abetted his crimes in a trial of the facts. Sarah Gervin has this report and a warning. It does contain some distressing details.
Once the leader of the Democratic Unionist Party, once Northern Ireland's longest-serving MP, today a convicted child rapist. Donaldson had been charged with 1 count of rape, 4 of gross indecency and 13 of indecent assault. He denied it all. The jury here at Newry Crown Court took 10 hours over 3 days to convict him of everything. One of Northern Ireland's most high-profile politicians, Donaldson had left his previous political party, the UUP, over its support of the Good Friday Agreement, which brought an end to decades of conflict in Northern Ireland. 26 years later, he was arrested on Good Friday over sexual abuse and resigned as DUP leader. His trial heard 5 days of evidence from 2 women who said Donaldson abused them as children between 1985 and 2008. He said it simply wasn't true, and he didn't know why complainant A and B were lying. But a prosecution barrister told him he was sinful and deceitful, and that the only person telling lies was him. In the end, the jury agreed. His wife, Lady Eleanor Donaldson, had denied 5 related charges, including 4 of aiding and abetting. She faced a trial of the facts and did not take part in proceedings after being found unfit for a standard trial on mental health grounds. She couldn't be found guilty, but a jury found she had done the acts. Much airtime and much newspaper ink will be devoted to discussing Geoffrey Donaldson's dramatic fall from grace, but ultimately today belongs to 2 women who have seen the man who abused them as children finally convicted of his crimes. Donaldson showed no emotion as the jury delivered guilty verdict after guilty verdict, a unanimous decision. After a judge warned him he faces a lengthy prison sentence, the last words he heard in court were, "Take Mr. Donaldson down." He arrived at court this morning in a car that left this afternoon in a prison van, remanded in custody. A political legacy now in tatters, a legacy of shame in its place. Sarah Gervin, BBC News at Newry Crown Court.
A 36-year-old man has appeared in court charged with 5 counts of attempted murder linked to terrorism following alleged anti-Muslim attacks in Edinburgh. 5 people were hurt at various locations in the city on Friday night. Lewis Hawkes was also charged with assault and robbery, breach of the peace, and culpable and reckless conduct. He made no plea and was remanded in custody. Network Rail has begun the process of removing the carriages from the 2 East Midlands trains involved in the crash on Friday evening near Bedford. which killed a train driver. 100 people were injured, 9 of them critically, when the 2 trains, both heading to London St Pancras, collided. Disruption between London and Bedford is expected to last a week. To the World Cup, and Lionel Messi has become the competition's all-time leading goalscorer after Argentina's 2-0 victory over Austria. Meanwhile, England are preparing for their second World Cup match tomorrow night against Ghana. It's taking place in the US, just outside Boston, where Scotland's fans have been based. Now it's England's turn to try and win over the locals, as our sports editor Dan Rowan reports.
Things are changing here in Boston. A new group of British football fans are in town. Scotland's supporters won over this city, but now the Tartan Army's takeover of Boston has come to an end. How are the England fans settling in?
Bit of banter between the English and the Scottish. At the end of the day, they know we're here to win it and they're here just to take part.
Haggis is legal here, though.
Haggis? Get your Lincolnshire sausages!
This pub in the heart of the city became a hub for the Tartan Army during their stay, so will the special relationship continue now the English are here?
Scots kind of really took us over, and they're an awesome crowd, you know, they're never stopped drinking, but they're also very respectable. We won't maybe be hanging up the English flag outside as much as the Scottish flag, but they're still welcome and still have a good time, you know.
After their thrilling victory against Croatia last week, England...
For us to see that, you know, we genuinely get excited and a buzz of seeing that type of stuff, and the other night seeing that with the England fans in the stadium was incredible.
Opponents Ghana have Thomas Partey available after he missed their opening game, denied entry to Canada due to ongoing criminal proceedings in the UK. He's pleaded not guilty to 7 charges of rape and 1 count of sexual assault and is scheduled to stand trial next year. Today he spoke for the first time about his delayed start to the tournament.
Things happen outside football that you cannot control, so for me now I feel okay and I'm ready to play.
Meanwhile, today in Dallas, history was made. Whether it's your first time or you've been enjoying Lionel Messi's genius for years, the experience of watching tuned, a wonderful team move finished off by the maestro to become the Men's World Cup's all-time leading scorer.
And there it is, still Messi.
But he wasn't finished there. A remarkable 5 goals.
Well, 4 years ago, the magnificent Lionel Messi lifted the trophy, and now he's left another enduring mark on this tournament, and one that secures his status among the pantheon of legendary all-time footballers. It's worth noting this is his 6th World Cup. That, of course, was his 17th and 18th goals. It came just 2 days before his 39th birthday, and that was his 201st appearance for his country, and that, as I say, ensures that Argentina go through to the knockout stages, and one wonders just how many more goals Messi may achieve if they go deep, because of course they are bidding to become just the 3rd team ever to retain the title. As for England, well, they will be aware of the potential for surprises in this tournament. One need only look at the likes of Cape Verde, for example, getting draws against Spain and Uruguay, and they now need to avoid being on the receiving end of another surprise when they play Ghana here tomorrow.
OK, Dan, thanks very much. Our sports editor, Dan Rowan, and you can, of course, follow that crucial England game on the BBC Sport website. That is it from me. Now let's go back to Sophie in Downing Street.
Rose, thank you. Raining here now in Downing Street ahead of that heat wave that is coming this week. Let's get a final word now on the extraordinary events of today, though, with our political editor, Chris Mason. I mean, it has been quite something, hasn't it? And what happens now?
Yeah, it really has been quite something for 2 reasons, I think, Sophie. 2 key moments leading to 1 key likely outcome. The 2 key moments, obviously, first and foremost, the Prime Minister's moment at the lectern around about 12 hours ago. The other key moment, a post on social media and then an interview I did with Wes Streeting, the former Health Secretary, because in deciding, as he has, to back Andy Burnham, the likelihood that Andy Burnham is our next Prime Minister, perhaps within a couple of weeks, has accelerated hugely. And so a day that could have been significant in its own sense because the Prime Minister was announcing his timetable for going, has been significant for a second sense because we've got a far greater sense tonight than we might have imagined this morning about who is likely to take over and when. And here we are again, and this is the other thing I think worth emphasising. How many times in the last couple of years have you and I stood in the street here talking about exactly this? And a new Prime Minister, whoever they are, will inherit many of the challenges that caused Keir Starmer so many problems. The new Prime Minister will hope that perhaps they're more politically astute, will hope perhaps they can take their party with them to a greater extent than Keir Starmer managed. But so many of those fundamentals will be just the same, and governing, therefore, will be difficult.
And your voice is going. Larry the Cat, who's been here all day, I mean, he's seen as many Prime Ministers come and go, hasn't he, in the last 10 years, as since he was here since David Cameron.
Yes, I remember reporting on Larry the Cat's arrival. He arrived in an air-conditioned animal ambulance, it was described as. He's been here since David Cameron. How many Prime Ministers since in the last 10 years?
Chris Mason, thank you. I don't think Victoria Derbyshire will be talking about Larry the Cat when she comes up on Newsnight later on BBC Two, but she's here to tell us what she will be discussing.
Yes, thank you, Sophie and Chris. 10. Andy Burnham hopes to move in. Newsnight asks, what specifically will change for you, voters? What does Andy Burnham stand for, and what will he deliver for you? We'll try to unpack it all in a specially extended Newsnight live at 10:30. Do join us. BBC Two, iPlayer and BBC News. See you shortly.
Victoria, thank you. The weather now with Darren Bett. I can tell you it's raining here, Darren.
I could have told you that as well. Let's focus on the heat, though, first of all. Still got amber heat, extreme heat warnings from the Met Office for the next few days for large parts of England and Wales, but a more focused extreme red warning across this part of England and Wales. Temperatures continuing to climb, high humidity Wednesday and Thursday. But with the heat, as we've seen, there has been some rain in Scotland and Northern Ireland. Also seeing this rain pushing eastwards across middle and southern England with some thunderstorms as well. Those will push into the southeast over the next few hours, largely die out overnight. We're going to have clearer skies further north as well. But a warmer night tonight for Scotland and Northern Ireland. Sign of things to come, though, for England and Wales. Minimum temperatures 18 and 19 degrees. The heat and the humidity will continue to build. Could be some early showers in the far southeast. They'll move away. The odd showers possible across northern England, southern Scotland in the morning, but generally it's going to be dry for Scotland, Northern Ireland tomorrow. More sunshine means it's going to be a warmer day than today, 25 or 26 degrees, but it's across England and Wales. Temperatures continuing to rise, 30 degrees plus widely, could reach 35, maybe even 36 degrees. This is the current June temperature record. That could be broken, if not tomorrow. It will be broken on Wednesday because it's getting more and more uncomfortable. Temperatures continuing to rise, more sunshine around, a little more cloud in the far northwest coming into Northern Ireland perhaps, and temperatures in Scotland and Northern Ireland aren't going to rise much higher, but it's across England and Wales that temperatures are creeping up once again, 37, 38 degrees. We're not going to be far off 40 degrees perhaps by the time we get to Wednesday or Thursday. How long is the heat going to last? Well, Thursday sees showers for Scotland, Northern Ireland, still very hot for England and Wales, breezy, and then it does turn a bit cooler on Friday. Sophie.
Darren, thank you. That's it from us here in Downing Street, the news where you are coming up right now, but we will leave you on this day of history with some of the images from today. Good night.
Every decision I've taken has been about putting the country I love first. That is why I will resign as leader of the Labour Party.
I confirm that I will put myself forward in the process that will soon be underway.
We now come to Andy Burnham, member for Makerfield.
But when I leave the biggest job in the country, I shall spend more time on the most important job, being the best husband I can to my fantastic wife Vic, and being the best dad I can to my beautiful children, who are my pride and my joy. Thank you very much.